Union Smack has returned right here. WrestleMania fever's over. Everyone's recovering. We are back to get you back on that normal track. Before we do that, Maniac Matt, what's going on, my co-host? Welcome back. How you been? Where can everyone catch us?
I think I'm catching cabin fever, Travis. But apart from that, yep, I'm fine. And you can catch me, as always, I'm even forgetting the usual patter. You can catch me, as always, on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can buy our official merchandise from unionsmack.bigcartel.com, and you can purchase my book, The Undertaker, A Trip Down Death Valley, from completelynovel.com. And I'd just like to say a quick thank you to, I can't remember your name, I am so sorry, but to the person who contacted me on Twitter this week saying that they'd read the book and they loved it and they wanted more. They wanted a series of it, Travis.
Yes.
Which right now a series is looking unlikely, but I do have a few ideas for maybe another book.
Does that mean we could get a possible Rugged Ronnie Garvin autobiography?
It's on the list. Quite far down, but it's on the list.
Fuck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And as always on Twitter, me at the Hibiki TMD. Hit that red button down below, subscribe, all the goodness, retro gaming, pro wrestling. I want to take the time to thank, I mentioned it was WrestleMania week this past week, all the special guests who appeared on Hibiki High Spots, covered a bunch of WrestleManias, and this show last week covered Mania 14. Once again, thank you to all the tremendous guests, Optic Decay, Lori Lasagna, Colin on our post show, TJ from MLW show. Before we get to NXT UK, you know, it's nice just to talk with you sometimes, Matt. Let's go a little off topic. I didn't hate WrestleMania. I thought I was going to loathe it and turn it off halfway through. It took a lot of adjusting because I haven't watched the Raws or SmackDowns with an empty crowd, but I found myself liking both nights by the end of it. I didn't come away with a bitter taste as we've been accustomed to with Manias over the past almost a decade.
Yeah, I mean, like, going into it, obviously, the last thing I watched was Royal Rumble, so I'd seen none of the empty arena stuff. It was different. I mean,
You were not a fan
honest, right,
at all of that empty arena stuff.
No, I wasn't. It's like, during the kickoff, I think it was Cesaro and Drew Gulak, I even tweeted you and said, like, this feels like a tryout match. As good as it was, but the atmosphere was like, they all felt like tryout matches, and I didn't like the empty arena stuff, but, you know, a lot of the wrestlers gave us a WrestleMania performance, especially on night 2. I preferred night 2 to night 1. You know, there we go. The Boneyard match on night 1 was the highlight for me, obviously, but I thought night 2 was much better. Like, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair was a great match. Obviously, the Firefly flung hat.
Say fun hat. WWE Shop's going to release a Firefly fun hat next week, and they're going to take the credit. See. By the way, the Rhea Ripley Charlotte thing, while you recover real quick, wrong person won. I think we can both agree. That's pretty fair to say.
Yes, we can both agree. But from what I'm hearing today, it's like they had to switch the title before they had no champion, because Rhea Ripley is now back in Australia. Her visa's run out. She's going to be there for several months, and she's also got to isolate because of the international travel. Right. So,
yep.
Yeah, people can complain about it, but I don't like the outcome, but I can see why WWE switched the title, because it's that, or, you know, potentially have no champion until maybe summer or beyond.
I thought the match was fantastic, and I said it on our WrestleMania post show. There, especially the women's matches on this, stood out even more than the men, because I was trying to find positives throughout both of these, as I think everyone should have tried to do, is find positives. Just be thankful we were getting this anyway. I actually preferred not having a crowd at some points, getting to hear Asuka be Iron Mike Sharp for the whole match. She just doesn't stop talking. And these two women, Rhea and Charlotte, you heard and you felt every hit, just them adding with their grunts and all that shit. A lot of people didn't like it. I did like it. I miss that.
Yeah, I liked it when the wrestlers made you forget there wasn't a crowd there. That was nice. And some of the referee, Jessica Carr, she did her job perfectly. It's like, She's got a mouth on her. But there was just some bits that they didn't click. Rhea Ripley's best singles match ever, I will say. I don't
agree.
think that can be disputed.
I'm very happy for Drew McIntyre. The Universal title at this
Yeah.
point is beyond a joke. That was pathetic. It really
I knew you were
was.
going to say
I
that.
try to be fair sometimes, and I get, I try to not be that person that's like, everything has to be 5 fucking stars, and sometimes, big guys, it's a spectacle. That was fucking pathetic.
Yeah, agreed. I've seen some people say that Drew and Brock wasn't much better, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think Drew and Brock. Oh, obviously Braun and Goldberg wouldn't have even have happened had this been in a stadium because it had been Roman. But I think Drew and Brock would have been the same as it was in a stadium.
Yeah, me too. Because I feel like Brock Lesnar is the only guy to bring that big fight feel because he works matches like that, and they only work for Brock Lesnar. When you're doing 2-on-1 show, because Goldberg has to work a match like that too, he's a big fight wrestler. That's how he works. It doesn't work. And the Brock match was a little bit better, but not saying much, but I give it a pass just because that's what Brock Lesnar has done for years, and that's what's quite frankly made him money. It's got people invested, good or bad. And it I would say it told a better story than Braun or Goldberg, but what the fuck, that was 2 moves. But either way, it was exactly what I expected it to be, I guess, was the Brock match. I didn't expect a clinic at all.
Yeah, and I just hope now, like coming out of WrestleMania 36, it's like they don't squander Drew now.
We'll see.
We know they've got a history of squandering new champions, and today I'm hearing like Tyson Fury could be his next challenger.
Oh, they're going to say Big Show. You just found out about Big Show today. That's so funny to me, and I feel like they only did that because he has a sitcom coming up. They wanted to get him relevant for 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's out on Netflix now, by the way.
Boom.
Just before we sat down, I was scrolling through Netflix and it popped up, and I immediately just swipe left, not watching it.
One of my most enjoyable moments in the whole show for me is an underrated one people aren't talking about enough, was Owens and Rollins. I really enjoyed that match way more than I thought I was gonna.
I mean, I enjoyed most of it. I think I'd have enjoyed all of it had this gone on at the beginning, like the opening match. Because by Rollins and Owens, I was sort of growing tired of it.
Right. I could see that.
You know what I mean?
I think it's fair to say the biggest
was
disappointment for everybody was Edge and Orton.
Oh my god, how many days did that go on for?
Good God. Good. And it's great. Edge is back and blah, blah, blah. But Jesus Christ. Randy Orton is not the guy to do one of these slow, brooding, drawn out things like this. A Mick Foley or Taker in a Boiler Room Brawl, that's even kind of painful for me. I know people love that match. I never really liked that match. I don't like matches like this. They essentially take a stroll through the building. Well, yippee.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm sort of the opposite. I don't mind a match that goes through the building as long as it's interesting. It's not. I mean, it must have gone 30 minutes, easy.
It did. It went 36, something like that.
See, I fell asleep like 7-8 minutes into this match, and I woke up and they were still wrestling, Travis. And I'm thinking, is this gone an hour? I surely must have been out that long.
I didn't like the Edge crying thing either. I thought that was too over the top. I'm sorry. I know some people loved it. I'm honest. I didn't like it. And I'm a huge Edge fan.
I think it's fair to say that this is like maybe the one, because most of the matches adapted well to being in an empty arena.
Yeah.
But I think this is the one match that probably had to have a crowd and had to have a stadium.
It's such a goddamn crime, too, that Otis moment didn't have a crowd. My God.
Yeah.
Don't say we never...
There was a lot...
Good.
There was a lot of crimes like that, like the Otis moment, Edge's like in-ring return in a singles match. It's like all these things needed, Drew's victory, they all needed like 80,000 people to make them feel more special than they were.
I think the crowd would have been insane for that Drew match because of all those false finishes on Drew. Like, I thought after the third F5, I'm like, they're really going to do this. I thought it was it. I really did.
Me too. But we say that, but on the opposite side of the fence, it's like if we'd have had like 80,000 people in Tampa, we wouldn't have got the Boneyard match. We wouldn't have got the Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah.
So
take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
That's all you can do right now.
Bad. Swings and roundabouts. Take the good with the bad.
And don't say we never did anything with you, sneaking in 2 reviews in one show. There's your little Union Smack WrestleMania 36 review. Let's talk about why we're here. NXT UK this week. Battle Royal time. 20 guys, right?
Yes, 20 men all competing for the opportunity to be number one contender to the NXT United Kingdom Championship.
And that's how they kicked off this episode, with a nice little vignette highlighting literally every guy in it. I mean, even Saxon Huxley got a soundbite in, for Christ's sakes, during this.
Yep. I could have done without Tyson T-Bone and Saxon Huxley and men that didn't really matter. Speaking on this match, I thought just having jobbers in the video package brought it down for me a little bit. It reminded me of the old Royal Rumble vignettes where you had the Brooklyn Brawlers standing there going, "I'm going to win the Royal Rumble," and go on to it. No, you're not.
Skinner
now get
spitting in a cup.
That's it. It's like tobacco down his face. It's like, "I'm going to win the Royal Rumble." It's just like, pass. Can we have the real stars on, please?
Trying to last 30 seconds at best. No, I'm with you in a way. But it made it more eclectic for me. At the end of the day, I can't lie. I didn't hate it. I don't think you hated it, but I don't think it brought it down really for me. I was surprised Tyson T-Bone's even employed still. I thought he was gone, to be honest.
Well, they're dropping it out now, Travis. It's like, when he's got a spare 2 days, he'll come to NXT UK. When he's not, he's robbing cars and, setting people's animals on fire and some.
Or having underground boxing matches for money or something. Pikeys do.
Yeah.
What did you think of this opening women's tag? Women's champ Kaylee. My God, talk about a team made in heaven. Kaylee Ray and Jenny taking on Piper Niven and Dani Luna.
I really liked this. I thought it was a great opener. I thought it showcased Dani Luna particularly very well, and Piper Niven. She was you might have liked her performance in this, and obviously she was more spirited than other weeks, but it started for me when she came running down the aisle. Her body was saying, "I'm happy," but her aura was saying, "Can I go now, please?"
Her eyes were saying, "What pub are we going to after this show?"
Yeah, it's like it was fake happiness, Travis, and I could feel that from her.
It's got to be conflicting for her because she's been doing this tremendous heel role Viper for a while in the indies. So she's doing both, I guess, kind of doing a Two-Face from Batman. It's got to be hard to balance that. I think people don't think about it enough.
Yeah. And you know what? It's also goes against her that she's against 2 fabulous heels who carried themselves like fucking stars.
My God. This might be the best aesthetically we've seen Jenny carry herself in a match. And this just for her entrance. Right. I mean, she just had that nose in the air and playing that role to a T, man. Yeah, and if there's an argument for a female stable in NXT UK, it's Kaylee Ray and Jenny have to be in it, surely. So I think they're the perfect tag team. Is it just me, or are they trying to play some tension with Dani Luna and Piper Niven during this? Some miscommunication spots or something? Or Dani Luna hit her on the back to tag in and Piper Niven was kind of surprised she did that and offended? Was that me noticing? Yeah.
No. It totally looked like they were building towards something. And I hope they are. Because Dani Luna, as good as she is, she's not quite there yet. But it's you can easily see, work her with Niven and Ray and Ginny more, and if you have to, Toni Storm, because she's not going anywhere. And by August we could have a true underdog challenger for the Women's Championship.
Let's talk about that. One thing I was thankful of this week having a Battle Royal is we got to see a lot of the women's division, and I don't want to say they were scraps, but it's like on a Royal Rumble show back in the day, your undercard matches were kind of like leftovers, but this was got a way to showcase them. It's crazy how to this day, how you talk about it, and I've said it too, I think 2 weeks ago, how Dani Luna isn't there yet. Just watching, and your only exposure to her on this show saying that, and it's very easy to say that, but she's one of the top ladies in progress right now in title contention. Yeah. Amale, who we'll get to later, is the current WXW Women's Champion, and we've seen how well that goes for Killer Kelly, being that title holder, being on this brand. It's amazing that some of these women are just... That's another thing that reminds me of the old territory days, or even on some squash matches on Wrestling Challenge or something. Some of these guys are champs in another territory, random shots, hey, Conan in a tryout dark match, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And you're right with Dani Luna. she's such a big deal in Progress, and not just in Progress. It's like
wherever she goes over there.
Yeah, wherever she Attack Pro Wrestling, she's been a big name. There's a Dragon Pro Wrestling, I think it's called, in Wales. It's like she's done everything there. It's night and day watching her on the Indies to watch her in NXT UK, and I'm not sure whether that's because WWE doesn't really get her. Her look. She's a little bit chubby. She's a little bit mad, maybe.
Well, I mean, let's push Piper Niven if we're going to use that. I mean, that doesn't really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you look at Piper Niven, and her body of work speaks for itself. Like
right.
in ICW, and she's been. But Danny Luna's like she's literally in the last 7 months, like lit a spark under herself, and
right.
She's made a name for herself, beating Tony Storm in Progress, and she's gone straight to the top. But then she comes into NXT UK, and they don't really see that, so they want to start her out at the bottom, maybe work her up a bit, and I'm fine with that, as long as they don't, get her to a point, and it's Ligero syndrome again.
I feel like unless Kaylee Ray, speaking of her, is moved to NXT eventually or the main roster, that Jenny is always going to go down as untapped in this brand, because I feel like those two counteract each other as top heels. I feel like I don't feel like. See, I disagree. I don't think they make sense in a stable to me, just because they're both heels, but they're so different type characters. I feel like if Kaylee Ray goes, then you go, Piper beats her for it. Then you go Jenny and Piper in a feud, and Jenny beats her, and then you go the chase with Zaya or some stuff like that. I can't believe I'm saying it about Piper Niven, but right now I'd book her as a transitional champion to get it on another top heel down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the transitional stuff. I don't think Piper Niven, as good as the reactions are that she gets, I don't think she's
it's not organic,
a long-term
like with Zaya.
Champion.
The people want Zaya, I feel like, when you hear them, you listen to them. I mean, I know it's a return match, and it's easy to say that, but I feel like she's still going to be that. Has it earned the right to be called the Daniel Bryan role now? Since, it was only a couple years ago, but still that underdog role, everyone just calls it the Daniel Bryan role. Is that fair to say?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a fair label to give it.
All right, we'll run with it. But this match, like I said, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Nina Samuels match better last week with blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But this was still fine. It was just a nice way to keep continuing the road, the title match, which I'm not sure when the fuck we'll ever get now. But yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping we're going to get it in a few months. With this whole shit passes, there'll be a takeover at some point. At some point, Travis. We say that. This might be the last batch of NXT UK reviews these good people get for a while, because there's almost definitely going to be no Bournemouth tapings.
A lot of the in-betweens on the show were like just little hyping guys for the Battle Royal later on. Also.
Yeah.
Little hype packages.
One thing that I'm not sure how I feel about, like after this, and obviously Ginny and Kaylee Ray win.
Which surprised me. I thought Piper was going to pin Kaylee Ray for sure. I mean, that's a layup if I'm booking. If this is what you're building to. It's a non-title match and a tag team match. There could be shenanigans. It doesn't have to hurt Kaylee Ray, but still, I mean, usually standard protocol is the babyface wins on the road to give her validation for being in the fucking title match.
Yeah, but then it's saying that at the same time, Travis, it's like, let's not forget, they were booking this really unsure, like whether there was going to be a takeover.
Yeah.
So I don't think they wanted Kaylee Ray pinned without the certain knowledge that they were actually going to get them both to a main stage.
So used to having that goddamn foresight in my booking, I keep forgetting that this virus is shutting the world down.
Yes, bit by bit, but not us.
Not us.
Not us.
This is a Gallus vignette, right? After this match?
No. Well, first, we got a video package, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, because this might affect our review next week. A look back, special NXT UK look back at the rise of the brand. I mean, from what I got from this is going to be a whole episode just recapping.
Yeah. We're out of tapings now, right?
We're not. We've got, you see, this Battle Royal, that main events this episode, this was the last thing recorded, but there's still like 2 weeks. Where are we now? April the So we've still got like 2 weeks worth of tapings to go.
That's weird. Maybe they're just milking it, man. They're just truly milking it out. I can't blame them.
I mean, maybe they're hoping to like extend it by a week in the hope that they do get to Bournemouth and then they'll have a fresh show.
I'm actually kind of excited for that kind of show because we've never got that for this brand. Kind of just a retrospect history of thing, and maybe that'll give us an excuse to either be retro or a best of NXT UK next week for this show. I don't want to review a highlight show.
Nor do I, but maybe we can. I don't know.
We'll see the app first, and then we'll figure it out after we watch the actual episode if it's worth reviewing.
Yeah,
and then we'll figure it out. Yeah, I like how we decide this on air on this show. That's so good. What didn't you like about this?
About what? Sorry, I was looking.
You said you weren't a fan of the video package coming up.
Oh, the Gallus one?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like after last week's with the cards and like sitting in the cafe, and I felt that was more creative. Gallus, if you like. I just felt this was like, oh look, here's 3 men that we really don't have any ideas for. Like them, please. This
was generic. This took no thought. I'm with you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say, but I never get to things simply.
No, let's get to up next. More in-ring action, more ladies action. The return of Xia Brookside taking on Amale, Matt's brand new favorite upstart wrestler on the brand.
Oh, love her. Yeah, no, she's got no aura about her, this woman, which is surprising because, like you said, she's a WXW champion, women's champion, whatever they call it over there. I should know. I've written enough about it in my next book, NXT UK Year 1, coming your way soon. Cheap plug.
There you go.
But she carries herself with no star power.
She also knows she's going out there and eating the pin in 3 minutes, though. Maybe that takes away some of the swagger.
I mean, maybe she's like learned from Killer Kelly.
Was she in the Mae Young Classic, by the way? I did a little homework on her.
She might have been.
I think she was in the second one.
When was the second one? Like 2018?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, she could have been then. She, for all I remember of that, she could have been.
Yeah.
If she was, she definitely didn't go far enough to be memorable.
Isn't it crazy how both of those feel like forever ago now? The Mae Young Classics. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, they feel like retros.
Most of the talent from the first one are just like main roster people now. Crazy. Or on some brand by now,
Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel about Amale or Amal? Because honestly,
we've seen her a couple times. We've seen her a couple times this year or like late last year. Never really blown away, but I don't know if it's fair to say that because I don't think she's been given the capacity to be able to blow us away, like as opposed to we were very critical about Valkyrie because she was given that spotlight to blow us away for a couple weeks. I know that sounds wrong. I'll try to get another terminology in there. I think it's a case of that. If she was booked differently, maybe then. But right now, I'm just seeing, just enhancement talent. That's also, it's hard to judge.
Yeah.
I see potential.
I mean, I think like before we review her matches again, we should actually like seek out some matches of her and see what she can do in a natural habitat.
I feel like if she's carrying the WXW women's title, she can't be shitty in the ring. I feel like. Because they take wrestling very seriously in WXW. Being able to go in ring, I mean. That's like your main driving selling point in that company. Yeah,
they do. And just look at Killer Kelly in WXW and then how she was treated in NXT UK. So we didn't even get a third of the Killer Kelly that she...
Is she still in NXT UK or is she gone? Is she out of WWE?
No, she's still around now and again, but that link you sent me, and this will mean nothing to people listening, I noticed on the link to the new wrestling game that's coming up at some point that she signed a contract with them to be in the game. So,
okay.
I don't know, maybe she's starting to sever ties with with WWE. I wouldn't blame her.
I wouldn't blame her either. Jesus Christ, she probably took such a pay cut to come over and take a career risk, and just to be given that. I mean, it's one thing to be, paid your dues and be broken in booking wise, but throw somebody a bone that needs it eventually. She deserved it. Crazy.
Yeah, she was so much better than
Now, she was someone
allowed.
who did jump off visually, even in enhancement matches. That I agree with. Even she was out there as cannon fodder, there's something captivating. You didn't want to take your eyes off of her.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. And can you imagine if they'd have pushed her and got behind her? It's like you'd have had all these strong women ready to prop up the women's division and, step into spots as one step back. And I don't think the women's division would have been as reliant on two women as it is now.
Speaking of strong women, Matt, let me bring up a very specific date, and I think it's the most accurate one. But if it's not, I'm sure you'll correct me. November 18th, 2019, the last time we saw Xia Brookside, correct?
Yes.
My God, that's fucking forever ago.
That's like almost half a year ago.
It is.
She's been struggling with an arm injury, but, I mean, fucking
And
hell.
11 days from recording this, that'll be 6 months on the dot.
That's insane. So she was so over last time we saw her. And, she was in that little feud with Ginny and Jazzy Gabbert. But thinking about it, maybe it's best that she had some time away, because the whole Jazzy Gabbert thing, it got messy storyline wise, and Jazzy Gabbert basically walked out of the company, leaving the storyline that they had with nothing.
Here's a question I have, and we talked about earlier with Kaylee Ray, getting the win. If they were so unsure about future bookings, and they didn't, then why make her return at this show? You're so unsure of having future shows. Why return at this one for Xia Brookside?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah, agreed. And honestly, it's not like they had anything strong planned for it anyway. So I'm not sure why they returned her here. I'm not sure why they didn't wait until, I don't know, either they knew they had a takeover coming and solid plans for recordings afterwards. Because right now it's like everything's up in the air. She's just come back after nearly 6 months out. We might not see her again now for another 2-3 months, depending on, when they're allowed to record the next batch of television tapings.
Someone we haven't talked about in at least a year on this show, who I feel like this division could really use right now, especially to go up against Kaylee Ray, is Millie McKenzie.
Yeah.
I miss her.
So do I, but she's doing great things over in Progress.
She is. She's on top of the world over there right now.
Yeah, I think her and I forget the other woman's name now. Her tag team partner in the Medusa complex. I think they just attacked Ginny in Progress, and there's a little thing going on there. And they're tag team champions. She's so hot right now.
She's probably happy she went back over too. She's probably making way more money, and she's getting seasoned, and she's getting more hype and exposure and buzz doing it. Yeah.
And I'll be honest, without Pete Dunne there, I don't think Millie McKenzie would have been looked at seriously.
I'm with you. I think, if anything, that was a credibility stamp for a little bit. At least over there.
Yeah.
Over here, hanging out with Pete Dunne just gives you a stoner gimmick and an MMA fighter. Sadly, what a criminal way to book Pete Dunne. I mean, I don't hate that team, but Jesus, it's Pete. That's a whole other podcast.
I know. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on that, but...
What'd you think of this little mini match, this little exhibition, I'll call it?
It bored me to tears, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
This was basically all arm locks and, arm bars and a finisher. A finisher, I land, that is brand new. The broken wings looks so sloppy, it's embarrassing.
A babyface like Xia Brookside, that Daniel Bryan babyface again, never works well in this enhancement role where they're the ring general and they carry the match. They always work better for me struggling from underneath. And that's, I think, a big reason why I zoned out too and I wasn't a fan.
Yeah, agree. People want to cheer Xia Brookside. It's very hard to cheer her when she's in control of 90% of the match.
Even if you go back to, say, just put on a random episode of, Superstars from 91, you see Bret Hart out there squashing a guy, it still feels weird, as opposed to, Papa Shango squashing a guy or somebody,
Yeah, agreed.
Really
And can I just say, it's like, now with Xia Brookside back, NXT UK, they have enough major players now to create some intrigue in their women's division. You know, they've got Kaylee Ray, they've got Piper Niven, they've got Ginny, they've got Xia Brookside back. Danny Luna's coming up from underneath. Nina Samuels can do it if you give her the chance, and obviously they're going to, at some point, push Aoife Valkyrie. So, you know, you've got 7, 8 names there that you could get a year's worth of storyline out of, you know, here and there, stories underneath, people coming up, people dropping back. There's no reason now that title should be just contested between 2 women, you know, the same 2 women, and just then, you know, fall into insignificance after that feud's run its course.
Hell, why not? You have nothing to lose with it. Do what John Cena used to do. Open challenge that shit. Why not?
That would be, do you know what would be good? It's like, do the open challenge with Kaylee Ray, obviously, because she can't lose that title yet. In fact, not for the foreseeable future for me, unless they need her in NXT desperately. But open challenge with Kaylee Ray after the Piper Niven feud. Build a strong, credible opponent in the weeks that they take. And the open challenges, just hire in independent wrestlers for her to be in good matches.
There's the enhancement matches I want to see, not Xia Brookside squashing somebody.
Exactly. Can you imagine if, you know, Kaylee Ray held an open challenge and then out came Millie McKenzie for one match, but not a squash match, like a 15-minute competitive match, just for 1 week?
Sadly, and it hurts me to say this, they don't care enough about this brand to think outside of the box like that and to reach out to other promotions anymore. At first, they're all about progress and shit. Then over time, you know, well, you can't work here, you can't work here, sign this contract, sign this. And now it's like, it's 2 of 5 live. They don't care. They will never do something like that because it would be interesting for one. It wouldn't be cost efficient for them. They'd have to pay out extra as opposed to just their in-house contracts. They're not going to do it. And it sucks because I would do it.
I mean, do you know what? If money's such an issue, you know, having to pay someone for 1 night or to, you know, to pay on top of their contract to get them, whatever, bring stars in from NXT to do it. You know, bring in an Io Shirai for 1 appearance.
You know the band. You know
anyone.
You know the band that plays Randy Orton's theme. What size check do you think they get at the end of every year from WWE for the copyrights to that?
Fucking massive.
Exactly. There it is. You can pay out shit like that, you know. When now you're at a point too where you have an in-house band CFO, so what's your excuse there? Just have them cover Orton's theme. You don't have to pay out to this shitty fucking new metal band that does it now. I just saved Vince McMahon fucking $80,000 next year to pay that band.
Exactly.
And $80,000 gets you all of those women on the indies in one shot, in one fell swoop, because you know they'll take the money in a second.
Of course they would.
Why are we not in this fucking business? I don't know.
Because we're too good for this, Travis. We're too good to be dragged down by all the shit that goes on.
I think other than this match, I mean, it was just a little bit more filler till the Battle Royal, which was 29 goddamn minutes.
29 and a half.
And a half.
Skip to the last 10 minutes of it. I don't know. Honestly, it's like... I'm not going to say I was excited about the Battle Royal, because several weeks ago they showed us the graphic of who was in it.
Right.
And obviously you've got like 10 men in there who just don't belong.
I like that Ono was dumped out immediately, because that's just my mark bias.
See, I like the beginning where they all ganged up on Cassius Ono, got him out. And then for me it was like, they tried to keep it interesting. I'll give them credit for that. You know, there always seemed to be something going on.
The best part about a Battle Royal is the little stories you can tell with the underneath guys that are going on in the company at the same time. All the angles, you can intertwine that shit in one match. That's why Royal Rumbles are beautiful. The thing is, they don't do shit with the undercard, so nobody cared about the little shenanigans with the undercard guys in this. They didn't.
Exactly. And you know what? You had a few weeks on your hands to build up like little stories.
In the same building!
And
The same fans!
in the same building, on the same night, but they didn't do it. However, coming from this, they could have, right. The way I'd have booked this is you've got nothing really coming into it, absolutely nothing. There's no storylines coming into this match. There's no anything. So you've got, this is the last thing York is going to see, okay? They're not going to see anything else after this.
Yeah.
You don't even know whether, your audience are going to see a takeover. So you're now prepared, you're booking this Battle Royal, or should be booking this Battle Royal, preparing for what's to come, right? We don't know whether we're going to see this brand again until June, July. So why not reel us in some intrigue? You've got 20 men here.
You want a Lex and Brett finish. Just say it. Just admit it. That's what you want. You want some controversy for some intrigue.
I don't just want controversy, Travis. I was written down here. They could have got 5 solid feuds, long-term feuds out of this Battle Royal. You could have got Flash Morgan Webster and Joe Coffey. I'd watch that again. Yeah, they've been to war at the beginning of NXT UK's lifespan, but not in a serious long-term feud. That could have been based off who attacked Mark Andrews before Gallus revealed it was Flash Morgan Webster.
Exactly.
Hence, helping him into a heel turn and another storyline with Mark Andrews. That would have been great. You've got Travis Banks and Dave Mastiff. It's not ideal. You turn Travis Banks heel. Then you've got a heel Banks versus a babyface Mastiff. People might have bought into that with build. You've got a possible Ridge Holland Dave Mastiff feud that you could do something with. And then you've got the big one. I was so annoyed. And I'm going to even overlook the Devlin Dar possible feud. I was so annoyed, Travis, that they didn't make more out of Mustache Mountain. That this was the absolute perfect opportunity.
Build tension.
You've got you up.
Build tension in the group.
Exactly, not just build tension in the group, but there's clearly no plans for them as a team going forward. Right, we can all see that. From where they've been as single stars in the past few months, there's nothing for them going forward as a tag team. Trent Seven could have been eliminated by Tyler Bates, be it accidentally, okay? Then he comes back in, and this is fantasy booking, just to let everyone know, this isn't actually what happened.
He pulls a Sid Justice, and he goes to shake his hand, but then he dumps him out or something.
You know what? I wasn't going to say that it's a good idea. I was going to say he comes down to help Tyler Bates in the, as it gets to Dragon off and Bate. He comes down to help Bate, accidentally eliminates him, and it's like, oh no, what did I do? And then, whenever you get your next lot of tape-ins, you slowly build Trent Seven, match by match, angle by angle, do a little bit more heelish every time until he eventually turns on Tyler Bate, and then the next week, he comes out and he just berates Tyler Bate for costing them the NXT Tag Team Championships, for costing them the NXT UK Tag Team Championships, for holding him back, for getting him beat up by Walter because he stuck up for Tyler Bate last year at the Download Festival and almost got massacred by Walter. And, and then he just comes out and straight up bashes both Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate for holding him back in NXT UK, for never, letting him have a proper shot at the NXT UK Championship. And then just, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. I had a hand in training you both. You'd be nothing without me. That would be the perfect heel turn.
You could even throw in the next set of tapings to elevate some other guys. You build that up to where they're unified again. You totally rip off the Brett and Owen thing. You have him challenge Gallus for the titles, and then Trent turns on Tyler in the match, just like Owen did to Brett.
You know what? We should be booking this brand, Travis. There's so many ideas, and there's so many avenues. And I know I've talked a lot, and I'll shut up and let you talk in a minute. But there's so many ideas, and so many unexplored avenues with a lot of these wrestlers that NXT UK won't even think about doing.
Plus,
because they don't want to breach out the comfort zone.
A lot of the material's right there too. The first ever NXT, well, not the first ever, but they've won the NXT UK tag team titles. You know, they or the NXT titles, excuse me, and they've been in those as a tag team. They could play off that history to be unified again, and then Trent Seven for me works better in a heel role anyway than a Tyler Bate any day, because every time I saw Tyler, when all three of those guys with Pete Dunne were heels, Tyler didn't fit. He was just awkward and quiet.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Bate loves the adulation of the crowd. You can see it on his face. It's like he loves playing up to it, and he loves people to love him because he knows how to be the coy, baby face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. The elephant in the room we've failed to bring up yet was the winner, Ilya Dragunov.
Yeah.
I know they want to get that match in and blah blah blah. I don't think it's the right time. And I know everything's up in the air as far as future shows. Let's just pretend everything's normal. I still don't think it's the right time. He hasn't had the momentum for it to be the right time. Nothing's built to this. Everything Matt just spewed as the gospel. Everything is built to Trent Seven. He was the only guy in British Strong Style to never get that belt. He's always been glossed over. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. It's a beautiful story right there waiting just to be written. And I don't think they'll do it, but I'm not on the Ilya train for being champ. I don't think he's going to be a good flag bearer. And I don't even think Walter has been a great one.
He's not going to be champion. Let's watch that right now. There's absolutely no chance Ilya Dragunov will be NXT UK champion. I don't believe that's going to happen, even for like a millisecond. They didn't specify when he'd get his title shot. I think it was said that the winner would become the number one contender for a shot somewhere down the line. I believe I heard that. Maybe it was last week or the week before when it was first announced, but it wasn't like the winner is going to get the next shot, because that's going to be Finn Balor whenever Walter can leave Germany and perform in America again. But I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed Ilya Dragunov here. I think the match against Joe Coffey did him a lot of good. I think this finale with Tyler Bate just enhanced him as it should have done. But I see a great match with Walter whenever they hold it. Obviously, if it's on TakeOver, it's going to be 30 to 40 minutes of a great match. They've had excellent matches in WXW, so they've both got chemistry. But as far as Dragunov being champion, not a chance.
We'll see. I can see him doing it. Even if they do it, I just don't think it's going to work. I feel like every time he works in America, American audiences don't know how to accept him as a babyface, because, like we've said a million times, American audiences are so accustomed to booing the big Russian evil or whatever, as opposed to Pete Dunne comes off like a Bret Hart, where he's universal to like in like every country he goes to.
I think they're now transitioning Tyler Bate into that Pete Dunne role, and for me it's working. Tyler Bate is loved everywhere.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be the first two-time NXT UK champion. And if Travis, and I will leave this match on this because the last 10 minutes of this match was very good indeed.
Yeah.
If they don't pull the trigger on the Trent Seven heel turn when Tyler Bate is champion, one, they deserve everything they get, and two, it's never going to happen. Ever.
Totally agree. Let's talk about A-Kid doing a little Kofi Kingston spot in this. I like that. That little, with Saxon Huxley, right? Standing on him outside.
Yes, he jumped onto his back to avoid elimination and almost rode him like Seabiscuit to get back in. That was very nice indeed.
I do want to talk about the Devlin thing real quick. Once again, Noam Dar is not that fucking guy. But I feel like just in that little booking of that, they just turned Jordan Devlin a babyface, because he was playing to the crowd like a babyface and they were cheering him. And he got a noble elimination. Yeah. Like he struggled to get the elimination like a babyface would, and then he got fucked over from behind. So I'm interested to see if Devlin. If Dublin would have still happened, would they have booked him going as a babyface going to that? I feel like they would have.
I don't think they've had any choice. It's Dublin.
Yeah.
It's his home country. Yeah, he'd have been the babyface, whatever.
But just ask Joe Coffey. They can turn him heel the next night after the pay-per-view like it was nothing and it never happened. Just ask him.
Exactly. I mean, heel turns and babyface turns don't really mean that much in NXT UK anymore. But as far as Jordan Devlin goes, I think I'd like to see them try him as a babyface. They did.
Same.
They did give us like a sneak peek of that. I think it was June last year. Where it looked like they were finally going to turn him babyface, and maybe put him against Walter, but everything changed, and he just reverted back to a prick.
Well, you also know at least William Regal or someone in that company saw that footage last year of Devlin beating Walter and that insane babyface reaction in OTT for him. Someone in that company saw that clip.
Yeah, of course they did. One of your stars doesn't get that reaction.
If you're the poacher, you usually scout your prey. When you pick other organizations' talent.
Yeah, exactly.
What else stood out to you in the Battle Royal you liked?
I liked, like I said, the last 10 minutes for me was great. It was just all the little deadwood. And like I said to you before we came on air, I'd have booked this differently to make it better. I would have had a 10-man Battle Royal with... I'm not great at maths. However many qualifying matches it is in the weeks before this, and then you could have had the 10 most important men. You could have built the 5 storylines around the Battle Royal.
I think it's 5 matches.
And then obviously,
by the way, I think it would be 5, something like that.
I love how we like both of our maths on the fly. It's just unsure, but yeah. You've got Dragunov winning. You've got possibly, 5 more feuds going into the rest of 2020. The Battle Royal would have meant something, and it wouldn't have gone 29 and a half minutes.
Yeah. And that's that. That's how we went off the air with a joyous, in tears, Ilya Dragunov celebrating like Kurt Angle on his knees and some little kid in the front row dancing like Dragunov, celebrating, conducting the orchestra. That's how we went off the air. We faded the black with this week's edition of NXT UK. What do you grade Dean Tennant this week's episode?
I'm going to give it a strong B+ again, just for the fact that there was no, wasteful interviews on it. This was match, over with. I think this is possibly the best paced episode we've ever had, in that everything meant something. Even the Xia Brookside squash match, it meant something. It was to get her back in front of a crowd, get her back on, track to possibly challenging Kaylee Ray down the line. I liked the pacing of this week's episode.
I'm with you for the same reasons. I'm going to go a B, just because the Xia match, I kind of wanted a little bit more, but it wasn't pitiful. It is what it is. The Battle Royal went way too fucking long. Maybe the only reason it gets a B, not a B- is because of that kid doing the conductor thing for Ilya Dragunov celebrating. Do you remember who I'm talking about? The little kid.
Little kid saved it.
There you go. That was that. It was. I would recommend checking out this week's episode. Another pretty decent episode of NXT UK this week, and they're learning with it at least. I mean, keep this streamlined feel going forward. Next week's, like we said, up in the air, the best of episode. We don't know, so we'll let you guys know when we know what we're gonna do.
Yeah, keep an eye on our Twitter feeds, and we will announce it at some point before Monday.
Exactly. Keep a weather eye on the horizon for future updates on the next episode. Until then, Matt, one more time, where can everyone catch you?
You can catch me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can buy our official merchandise from our online store, unionsmack.bigcartel.com, and you can purchase my Undertaker book, A Trip Down Death Valley, from completelynovel.com right now. And also Tenant Talks Issue 8 will be coming your way. I've got a whole list of news now, Travis. It's just finding the right... I was going to say the 3 hours, but I've got nothing but 3 hours. But yeah, I've got a little project I'm doing right now. But as soon as that's done, in the next day or two, then I will start putting together the next issue of Tenant Talks.
There you go. Look forward to that. And I promise you guys, the next Hall of Fame inductee Finley is coming. It's on me. I promise. I'm going to get it done. It's been slacking. Look for that. Coming soon as the Hall of Fame Union Smack picks up where we left off. Until then, follow me on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD. Hit that subscribe button right down below for all the goodness. Get a shirt, get a book at our store, like Matt said. And until next week, everybody, try to stay safe. Make the best of all your possible situations. We thank you once again from the bottom of our hearts, letting us entertain you during these shitty times. But we will be here next week to do it all over again. Until then, Union Smack. Cheerio, fans.